Welcome back to Big Week on the Farm. Today's video we're going to look at some of our potato crop. We'll probably have a look at some of the oilseed rape, winter barley, and hopefully there's no damage done to the winter wheat with all the rain that has fallen. But we're currently here on some of the first potatoes that we planted, and just on a dig there from the last time that we were here in the field, they were quite small, very small. The flower is still on them. Will be probably for another week. The flowering generally will stay on for 2 or 3 weeks, depending on what variety you're on. The rooster can be slightly different colour here, as a purple flower on it. And when the flower occurs on the plant, it's a sign that it's starting to fill the tubers and starting to grow the potatoes underneath. And as you can see here, we have big changes. Now, we definitely have plenty of moisture, and that's what we were lacking the last time when we looked in this farm, because it's quite a dry field here. It's up on the top of the hill, and it's just a little bit stony as well. And on the digs here, now, while they definitely have got an awful lot bigger, we still don't see an awful lot of numbers on them. Probably currently in around 10, 11 potatoes there on that tuber. There's the original seed potato, and that's it on this stalk. So that's 2 stalks here. But having said that, they are a little bit of size is coming into them there. So we'll just have to keep an eye on them as we go along. The lads are out spraying there today for just for blight control, just to keep the blight away, because it's been extremely difficult to get jobs done. And as you can see out in the field here where they were turning there, a nice little muck has been made, but still would be some of our driest fields to work in. So that's why they're out today. So yeah, that's it on the potato scene. Probably a little bit disappointed, we'll say, with the amount of numbers that's underneath the tubers at this present time. Now, it's very hard still to know unless you dug a section out of them there, because the field will vary in different parts, but this is probably just at the top of the hill, so hopefully maybe down the bottom there might be a slight bit better. So that's really it from the potato field. We'll tip across now and we'll have a look at the oilseed rape and see how far away it's going to be. We're in our field of winter barley as the chopper just flies overhead and makes plenty of noise. But as you can see, it has lay over a little bit since the excessive rain last Friday. But having said that, it's still looking good. To be honest, it's definitely fit to cut. It's just a matter of getting a little bit drier. And hopefully, if tomorrow's a dry day, even though they're not giving the forecast great, I'll be out with the combine. So by the time this video comes out on Saturday, I hope to have it all cut and maybe all baled, you never know. But yeah, all we're looking at there now is just to see, have we any fallen heads on the ground? Is there any sign of shedding? Which there doesn't really seem to be. So there is no real grains on the ground, except that it is starting to lie over in itself. So as you can see here, it has kind of lodged down a little across itself, but it's still holding up well. Nice looking crop. I think it's Cassia, I think is a variety, not quite sure. I have to ask the Hubbles on that one. But yeah, we're going to probably move into it now tomorrow. I'm going to bring the combine over anyway and set up and have it ready to go, so that when the weather does take up, just a matter of driving over, hop in and away. We're going to head out now to our field of winter wheat. So we've 2 fields of wheat out here, which were previously in spuds last year, and we've followed by wheat. Now they look very good at present. A little bit of lodging, and we'll see where the lodging has occurred. It's just spots in the field, which for some reason I don't know, but thank God it's not overall, because we have seen some of our other crops and they have quite lodged quite a little bit, good bit there with all the rain has fallen. So the problem with that is then, like, they're going to get an influx of crows. They'll come in and they'll want to party. So yeah, we're going to have to just keep an eye on things like that. If we need to get bangers up and going and get them into the different places there just to keep the crows moving, we'll have to do that as well. So critical time of year just to, when everything starts, when weather has just been very broken, to kind of get the crops going. Didn't want to cut too much, because then we're going to have a heap of wet straw. And now at this stage, it's a matter of saving the crop first. So we're just going to get the crop out of it, and we'll worry about the straw later on. So we'll head over to the winter wheat. So this is our field of Graham wheat, winter wheat. As you can see, a lovely even crop, to be honest. Really no lodging at all. There is one little patch over there for some reason, we don't know why. Could be maybe the fertiliser spreader, you never know. And then we have one spot down here, because it was after potatoes last year, a lot of the water would have lay in that spot there, just water didn't get away and just created a little bit of a little bit of a hole there, so the boys kind of sewed around it because they couldn't get through it. But yeah, look at it, it's wheat is still a good bit away yet. If I crunch the ear up, the difference with wheat and barley is that the wheat always stands up and faces the sky, where the barley will always turn and go down. So barley's always going to dry quicker, and it's always going to be the first to, even if you get a wet spell, you'll always go into winter barley or spring barley if you have it. If you're cutting it alongside wheats, you'll always combine them first because they will dry quicker. These, because of the natural shape of them, they're heading towards the sky because they're heading towards the rain, and they will soak up all the moisture in that. And if we just crunch it, so just going to crunch up the head here. We blow away with the chaff. You can see the grains there, really green and squishy there, so very, very high in moisture. Look, at probably 2 weeks is going to do an awful lot of that crop if the weather comes right. So hopefully this will be hopefully some of our first wheats, but it's starting to ripen a good bit there now even, although when you look back the straw is still very green. But a couple of weeks is going to do an awful lot to that. Nice even crop, as we say. Sometimes, you know, a crop like that is better than maybe ones that's lying over. All we were afraid of when I come back in here after a heavy deluge of rain is that you would see a lot of this lodging over, and then it becomes a nightmare then trying to get that cut. So yeah, lovely even crop, and yeah, we hope to get back to that now. A couple of weeks time, it should be nearly ready to harvest. Next up we have our oilseed rape. This is our winter oilseed rape, and as you can see, it's quite tall. It's just a little bit under my head, so coming along nicely, I have to say. A lovely block of oilseed rape. There's over 125 acres on this farm here, and the variety, Darren tells me now, I hope he's right, is Ambassador. Now, Ambassador is a relatively new variety. He was only on the recommended list last year, and I'm going to read out some of his attributes here because it's a very strong disease resistance package. It has resistance against stem canker, combined with good resistance to light leaf spot, a disease widespread throughout Ireland. It's a medium to early flower with a medium maturity, ensuring there is less damage from late frost. This provides an optimum duration of flowering and pod fill to maximise seed potential. So if it lives up to all those things, as after saying, we should have a hell of a crop here. But yeah, look, it looks great. This time last year, we're probably running about maybe 2 days. We were combining last year, I think, on the 19th of July. So we're not that far away from that at the present. Again, probably looking for a little bit of nice, good weather there just to mature a bit. Very hard to know what moisture it is. It's always a good sign there when you can see it. As you can see, it's a lovely little black grain on it there. And for anyone that's not aware, oilseed rape, this would have been in the full flower, that lovely yellow flower that you see throughout the countryside there early on in May, June. That's the oilseed rape, but that is the seeds that comes from it there. And that seed can go for further processing there to make an oil. So it's very hard to know, except that if you run it around in your hand there and it doesn't stick to your hand, it's always a good sign that it's getting there. So yeah, look, we hope to be in this now in the next few days. So again, this is on Saturday's video, I hope to have some cut at that stage. The difference with the combines is that we have to put our 2 side knives on for cutting the oilseed rape, and we have to let out the lower platform because of such a tall crop. You had to let the platform out on the bottom that it falls nicely and it flows evenly there coming into the combine. And the fact that it's so tough there on the side of it as well, that you need a knife to cut right through it, because even to walk through it, it's not physically possible here even to walk through it at the minute. But it's my favourite time of year. Yeah, you have guessed it. We're in here in the Case combine and we are thrashing away. Today is Thursday, probably a few of the good days that has come, given rain again for tomorrow, but currently cutting a field of California. You would have seen this one of the big weeks of the farm, so the first one there when I visited the winter barley. I said it would probably be a month later, and I think exactly to the day is a month later when we're harvesting it now. It probably was ready before this, but looking at it here, just turn off the indicator, not going right. It's, yeah, nice crop of barley coming in, moisture in around the 20%. Would like it a little bit lower, but at this stage in the barley year, it's time to just need to get out, get it cut, and kind of salvage what's left. Now, because of all the rain that came, initially we were kind of hoping that the moisture would be lower when we're cutting it, But then with the way the weather has gone means that everybody's out and about, and there's combines everywhere around the country, I'd say, trying to harvest the barley, probably to get the last between yesterday and today before it's given a little bit more rain tomorrow, but hopefully not too much comes and we'll be back at it. So we've a couple of days left of the barley, and then we move on to the Oilseed rape, which does look good and it looks safe, provided it doesn't get any more downpours or rain. Combine is going well. Again, when you get into the combine for the first time, you have to kind of reset the brain a bit, because it's a lot of different buttons, and kind of get used to settings in the combine, and we recalibrated it from last year, and sometimes when you calibrate it then it throws the settings off. So yeah, I just had to reset my head here for a while just to get around all the different settings in the combine, but I have to say it's going nicely there now. It's telling me I'm throwing out here. So these screens here are my grain monitor last. Now I did go down and I did check it there under the, there's always no harm to have a look under the row of straw to see exactly is the combine throwing out anything, because while the monitor sometimes may give, now we'd have to keep all them in the green, that's that. We see you go on the run screen, we have moisture, which I'm not sure is not set, because we tested there and it's, I think the last note is 20%. So that's not too bad, we can work with that. But yeah, another few hours here and this field will be finished, and then we move on to the next farm. The other combine is working in another farm, and someone has asked me there in some of the videos, why have we just got the one going? Well, the simple reason is that the straw walker is always preferable when we're cutting winter barley, because we have a lot of customers there who take the straw, and there's always a better row of straw after it because of the nature of the harvest. So the way the straw walkers, it's much easier on straw compared to the rotaries. Now the rotary is fantastic combine, don't get me wrong, great output, fantastic in crops like Oilseed rape, beans, even good wheats, but on the barley it's a little bit harder on the straw, and it can make kind of make mincemeat of the straw a little bit. But look, at this stage now we're not just too worried with the straw, it's more important to get the barley get into the tank here and get it gone. But yeah, so that's the reason why we only had the one combine out initially. Generally most years we would get it cut with the one combine, cut the barley, and then we'd move on to the Oilseed rape with this combine. But we can set it up a little bit different for barley. You can cut down your rotor speed, which just maybe is less invasive on the straw, and that's what I've done there now. But still, when you look at the straw, it looks like a light row of straw compared to the row of straw off the straw walker machine. But that's just some of the pluses and minuses there when you have one of each. But this combine, when it comes to any of the Oilseed rapes and the wheats, you will just fly along. You definitely, I'm cutting at 3.6 there now. If you're straw walker, you probably would cut in around 3, maybe 3.4. But when you're onto our wheats there, I could tip along here at 5k, no problem with this combine, where you would still be maybe at 4k. So it'll do roughly about a kilometre more compared to a straw walker machine. So when you weigh it all up, yeah, it has pluses and minuses, but that's what we've decided on, and we're very happy with this combine, because traditionally we always had straw walker combines, and you just see the difference of a rotary compared to a walker machine. It's a vast difference. So that's really it on the barley scene. Yeah, look, we hope to get this out, but if we got another probably 2 days, we would finish the barley, and then we would move on to the rape. But I'm happy out here, I have to say. It's a lovely time of year. It's a good day today. The combine is going well. No big faults except for this tailings volume high, which the lad did change the sensor on it, calibrate it, but for some reason every second or third run it decides to come on. So there must be some little thing just not quite right there. But no doubt, I think Kayla might be coming down in a while, and we'll sort it out then. So a general question that people would ask is, how hard is it to drive a combine? Well, I suppose I've been at it from a very young age, and the combines were relatively small when I started, probably with 10 foot heads, sitting in beside my father as he'd go and do his daily harvesting. And then we progressed to maybe 12 foot head, then we're down to 15 foot head, 20 foot head, 22, and we're now at a 25 foot. Now this combine would actually, we could have a 34 header on this combine, but sometimes it just can be a little bit awkward to get around the roads and in gateways and stuff like that. So we have stuck to the 25 header on both combines. But you do kind of get used to it. A little bit daunting, we'll say, at the start, if you're told drive that for a while. And we had Darren earlier that he drove for me when I was having my tea, and probably one of the first times he drove this combine. But he got used to it because he is, you know, he's a machine operator and he loves getting the spin of the combine, and there was no bother to him. But yeah, look, I mean, it has gotten an awful lot simpler to drive these combines again. I suppose you kind of do have to drive with your eyes an awful lot. You're constantly looking down, and you're obviously keeping a check on everything else that goes on, because we have screens here to help us out. Where years ago we didn't have those screens. You were kind of manually looking down to see whether you had any grain losses or pulling levers, where now you just press the button. So it has made it an awful lot easier. Again, the driver control here with the one gear stick, the lever here, the multi gear lever stick, has all the controls on it, and it's very accessible. I mean, I can go forward, reverse, lift my reel up and down, put my header in and out, put the auger in now, turn on the auger, turn it off. So, and the auto steer is on it now. Unfortunately, I don't have the auto steer today, because while I had the receiver, we didn't have what we missed the controller that will actually it's in one of the tractors, so they never told me that, of course, until I went to drive off. Anyway, and the tractor is, of course, the way not around here, so I have to drive it on my own steer, which is fine too. It's not the end of the world. The auto steer is very handy to have. Now, the one probably, if there was a dislike on this combine, and I have raised it a few times with the guys in case, was that if I set it at a certain speed and I'm cutting at 3.8 here, when I'm going up an incline, which there's a slight incline in this field, the speed will drop back a little bit. So it'll go from 3.8 and it might come back as far as 3.6 when we kind of get it on a little bit of pressure. My forward speed drops, and then it does the reverse when you're going down the hill. So I could set it at 4k going down the hill, and I guarantee you by the time we get down the bottom it'll start to increase to 4.7, 4.8 now, which means that you have to kind of keep your hand on the controller here all the time and keep your, so there you are, it's back to 3.7, and you have to kind of keep it either pushed on or held back. So the guys in case, well, there's nothing I can do about it, but to me now, I think at this day and age, once you have a cruise control, you should set it should stay at that speed, which means then if I had auto steer on, I could take my hands off everything and possibly could read the paper, Farmers Weekly, Farmers Journal, but that doesn't allow me to do that. So yeah, we have that raised that point a good bit, and they say because it's hydro, and anyway, all the answers you didn't want to hear. But as regarding the drivability of it, always a lovely machine to drive as a combine, and I suppose most guys do get a little bit excited when they're told to drive it for a while, because while it's such a big machine, when you put it into the field, it's not really that big, because the fields are fairly big as well. So you still have a lot of work to get through, and yeah, but there's something just so satisfying about seeing the crop coming in, watching the end product here behind me. Nothing better than a nice crop of standard barley, which we have. It mightn't be an overly high yielding crop, and we kind of knew that because it was late planted, late sowed, but still a lovely crop to cut there, all standard, no hardship, which really is the main thing as well. So the tracks on this are, steering is quite good, lock is quite good on it for tracks. Sometimes with the 4-wheel drive or the tracks on them, they can be a little bit hard on the headlands. But these tracks, because of the height tracks, are actually very comfortable even on the road, and they're probably more comfortable than the class. They're more of a flat track, and I know on the road now the lads be giving out there, you'll be hitting the bumps as you go along. But this one, these are suspended tracks, so they're a great job. But yeah, we have all our controls are here, side by side, right beside you. You can see everything's going on. We have cameras set up, all the mod cons, usual crack. Yeah, but you still have to sit in the seat, that's the only thing. But maybe that day might come where we mightn't have to. We'll wait for that one. But yeah, happy out there, I have to say, enjoying it, loving all this crack. It's just that nice time of year. So, welcome back to the channel again. We are joined by Meg and Aimee, two surprise guests who have come into the field here. And it's not often you get two fine women sitting up beside you in the combine there. Actually, I think they're going to take over from me now, because you are a combine driver as well, aren't you? Yeah, well, yeah, I'm just not quite sure. But the guys that come over from the UK, they have. I'm going to let you explain exactly what you do and why you're actually here. You're over in Ireland for what, a few days?
Yes, we're over here for just a couple of days. Basically, just to introduce our company that we're working. So yeah, so we're a company called FMEC, and we are basically a company that runs two side-by-side management tool ecosystems, basically for farmers, predominantly arable farmers at the moment. And we want to create the ultimate solution for farmers to be able to completely control their data and manage it and be as profitable and efficient as possible. So the first system that we use is CropWise Operations. It's owned by Syngenta. We have a partnership with them in the UK, and that basically deals with NDVI images, so vegetation levels of crops, soil analysis, scouting reports, tasks, service alerts. We can use telemetry in your fields to track any kinds of machinery, machinery implements, all the kind of identification and stuff like that. We can see exactly where everyone is, at what time, what day, putting on what applications as such. But what we're really interested to promote, I suppose, is our system that we've built on a tier 1 ERP system. So similar to like Sage Finance and places like that. And we basically take all the data from CropWise, fully integrated with our FMS system, which stands for Farm Management Suite. And it does so much. It does validation of chemicals in terms of spray timings, making sure that everything's validated and is legal for red tractor purposes, for example, in the UK.
Yeah.
All kinds of crop management, crop rotation, fields, general ledger management, budgeting and planning, treasury, salaries, absolutely everything. It takes all the tiny fine print details out of the farm office and puts it on a cloud-based system.
Yeah, no, it sounds, I have to say, it sounds great to be able to have all that information, because obviously as a tillage farmer here, we are constantly looking at our inputs. Again, we're looking at rotations maybe in fields to make sure what is more profitable. So yeah, like, it's great to have that information that you can actually press the button, print a report, and it kind of validates it a little bit more than just maybe sitting here in the combine thinking, oh, maybe that crop might have been better if we had, a different rotation. We're cutting the barley here, should we have sowed it late? I was giving out to Darren here for sowing this crop late.
Yeah.
But the choices were, well, we had a whole lot of choices. Was either leave it maybe for spring barley, which in hindsight wouldn't have been a good idea either. So yeah, look, I mean, it's all them decisions sometimes to be taken out of your hands are could be a little bit better than just going in your gut instinct. That's what we found.
Yeah,
but
I think we want to also aid in those kind of decision makings, and if anything does appear that's unusual or alert, we can highlight and identify it as soon as possible. We know for next time, or we can resurrect the issue as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And that's all really what farmers want, as what we're hearing. We want feedback and everything like that from farmers, and to see really what they want. They don't want to be using 10 different systems. They want to be using as little as possible where everything works.
Yeah.
And I think that is our main goal, I suppose, is to produce this ecosystem that allows an end-to-end solution for absolutely everyone on the farm.
Yeah. Well, look, it's great to have you on board here for a while anyway. It happened to stop the rain, that's one thing, yeah. And I am trying to get the last bit out here, and I'm under pressure here with the combine and the women here together beside me to get it all done. But they're more than welcome to come over at any stage. They have farming background to the two of them, so that makes a big help. They know exactly what they're talking about. So look at, yeah, keep an eye on this. We'll keep you informed there. We'll put a link maybe in below there on the channel to where you can get more information. And yeah, that's it. Over and out.